Today our topic is Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding. In this novel, we discuss the comic epic in prose. It is true that we can term Joseph Andrews as a comic epic in prose because it has almost all the prerequisites that are important for labeling it as a comic epic in prose. Fielding himself termed it as a comic epic in prose in the preface to Joseph Andrews. Fielding claimed that he was founding a new genre of writing, but this was not entirely accurate. There was a long tradition of such writing before him, though it was not completely developed or established. According to Aristotle, Homer had produced a comic epic in verse, but again, according to Aristotle, verse is not the only criterion for poetry. Fielding has only combined the ideal of comic epic and not the prose epic to produce that he termed as comic epic in prose. An epic is a story of a conspicuous man who falls from prosperity to adversity because of his some errors of judgment, like Hamartia. His death is, however, not essential, but his fall arises a sense of pity and fear in us. It also has heroic style and bombastic language, and a comic epic is just reverse to it in most of its prerequisites except a few. A heroic epic has a conspicuous hero, grand theme, a continuous action, a journey to underworld, wars, digression, discovery, high seriousness, and high moral lesson and bombastic diction in it. And in Joseph Andrews, there is an ordinary hero, a journey from one place to another place, mock wars, digressions, discovery, humor, a high moral lesson, and a bombastic diction in it. So it can be termed as comic epic in prose. We can also call Joseph Andrews as the Odyssey on the road because both the work Homer's Odyssey and Fielding's Joseph Andrews in the first place involve a journey. Like Odysseus, Joseph Andrews, after the displeasure of a lady who is superior from him in position and power, set out on his way home and meets with many misfortunes on the way by the lady who has fallen in love with him. So it would be fairly justified to call Joseph Andrews an Odyssey on the road. Hence, it is a comic epic poem in prose. Unlike a heroic epic, the hero of Joseph Andrews is an ordinary boy. He is a footman of a Lady Booby who has fallen in love with him, but Joseph is very innocent and virtuous. Therefore, he leaves the services of the Lady Booby and goes to meet his beloved Fanny. On the way, he has to face many hardships. Though the action of the novel is not as great as the action of an epic, yet it is enough to term the novel a comic epic. Joseph sets out from London to Somersetshire to see Fanny. On the way, Joseph crosses many roads, highways, countryside, stay at many inns, and meets many people. All these constitute a big action. Through the journey of the Joseph, Fielding theorizes the society of the day and ridicules them, the corrupt and hypocritical clergy, Parson Trulliver and Parson Barnabas, individuals like Lady Booby and Mrs. Slipslop, the squire of fools and the squire of false promises have been satirized. The element of war is very important in an epic, and it is no exception in Joseph Andrews. We see a war took place in an inn, where Joseph was insulted by the host. Parson Adam was annoyed and challenged the host. There started the first war between both the parties. Soon Mr. Slipslop and the landlady also joined the battle. There are many other epical elements in the novel to call it a comic epic. Another epic convention is the use of digression. There are two major digressions in Joseph Andrews. There are seemingly irrelevant stories of Leonora and Mr. Wilson. Epic writers consider them as embellishments. Fielding, however, makes the interpolations thematically relevant, for these are not irrelevant in reality. The formula of discovery, as described by Aristotle, an essential element of an epic, has also been used by Fielding in the end of the novel. We see that Joseph is recognized to be Mr. Wilson's child, and Fanny as the sister of virtuous Pamela. High seriousness is an important element in epic, but in Joseph Andrews there is a great ideal of comedy and humor because it is a comic epic novel. But behind this comedy there lies a serious purpose of reformation. We have a gamut of vain and hypocritical characters in Parson Trulliver, Parson Barnabas, passengers in the stagecoach, Mr. Two's Woos, Mr. Slipslop, Peter Pounce, and various squires. The surgeons and the lawyers and the magistrate are also some other examples of hypocrisy and vanity. Each of these characters provide a great deal of humor and amusement under a serious purpose. Every epic has a moral lesson in it, and this is no exception with the comic epic. Fielding views on morality are practical, full of common sense, tolerance, liberal, flexible, and realistic. These are devoid of prudish and rigid codes. Fielding wanted to tear the veil of vanity and hypocrisy. The use of grand, bombastic, and elevated language is an important element in an epic. It has heroic diction, but in Joseph Andrews, we see that Fielding has used prose for poetry because it brings us close to the real and actual life, and it is much more suitable for Fielding purpose of dealing with human nature. However, his use of prose is very good up to the mark and opt for his novel. So we can conclude that the theory of the comic epic in prose, as described by Fielding in the preface to Joseph Andrews, manifests itself in the novel. Fielding has assimilated the rules and adopted them to his way of writing so well that we are not consciously aware of the formal principle which give unity to his material. According to Thornbury, Joseph Andrews by Fielding is an art which conceals art, but is the art of conscious artists. It is true that in Joseph Andrews the scale is not as large as one can accept in an epic, though it has all other elements of a comic epic in prose as claimed by Fielding.